I never thought I'd end up staring down the barrel of a cop's flashlight because some Botoxed-up busybody decided my wind chimes were a nuisance to the neighborhood aesthetic. But there I was, hands up in the crisp Montana evening air, the scent of pine and fresh-cut hay mixing with the acrid tang of exhaust from the patrol car, while Officer Ramirez, nice guy, actually tried to figure out if I was the felon or the victim. And the woman who dialed 911? She was perched on my split-rail fence like a queen on her throne, her designer yoga pants stretched taut over thighs that screamed Peloton warrior, flipping her highlighted bob and sneering like she'd just caught the Unabomber red-handed. Her name was Karen Whitaker, HOA president of Whispering Pines Estates, and she'd marched onto my property that afternoon demanding I dismantle my eyesore ranch setup because it lowered property values. When I laughed, because who the hell calls the cops over wind chimes? She'd whipped out her phone and screamed for backup, claiming I was threatening her life with aggressive livestock. My dog, Buddy, a golden retriever who wouldn't hurt a fly unless it landed on his kibble, was the supposed threat. It started innocently enough, or as innocent as things get when you're a 52-year-old tech mogul trying to escape the Silicon Valley grind by holing up in a 200-acre spread outside Bozeman. I bought the ranch 5 years back, right after cashing out my stake in a little something called Quantum Dynamics. Yeah, that Quantum Dynamics, the AI behemoth that's got half the Fortune 500 hooked on our algorithms. But out here, I wasn't Alex Hargrove, the shadowy board chairman who pulls strings from boardrooms in Palo Alto. I was just Alex, the guy in faded Levi's who fixed fences on weekends and grilled ribeyes under the big sky. No staff, no assistants, just me, Buddy, and the ghosts of old cattle drives whispering through the cottonwoods. That illusion shattered the day Karen Whitaker rolled up in her gleaming white Tesla. HOA binder clutched like a Bible, her license plate reading Rules 1ST. I'd ignored the first few letters, standard HOA crap about mailbox colors and lawn heights. Hell, my grass was knee-high on purpose. It was a wildflower meadow, not a putting green. But when she started finding me remotely, $500 here for unauthorized equine structures, $250 there for noise pollution from farm equipment, I figured it was time for a polite chat. She showed up at 2 p.m. sharp, heels sinking into the gravel drive, like she was wading through her own entitlement. "Mr. Hargrove," she said, not even glancing at the view of the Gallatin River glittering below. "This isn't the frontier anymore. We have standards in Whispering Pines. Your rustic aesthetic is an affront to our community vision." I offered her iced tea, the kind with fresh mint from my herb garden, but she waved it off like it was moonshine. We talked, or rather, she monologued for 20 minutes about covenants and bylaws, her voice rising like a caffeinated TED Talk on fascism. I explained I wasn't even in the HOA. My parcel predated their subdivision by a century, a loophole my lawyer had confirmed with a wink and a $10,000 retainer. Didn't matter. "Loopholes are for criminals," she spat. And that's when she spotted the wind chimes, hand-forged iron bells from a Navajo artisan I'd met in Arizona, tinkling softly in the breeze. "Those are illegal," she declared, as if she'd just uncovered plutonium. I chuckled, told her they were art, not ordinance violations. That's when the threat escalated. Buddy bounded over, tail wagging like a metronome on steroids, and nuzzled her calf. She shrieked. Actually shrieked, like he'd sunk fangs in her Lululemon. Assault. This is assault by animal. Before I could leash him, she was on the phone, voice pitching into that emergency siren wail. "Yes, 911? I'm being menaced on private property. Send help now." I tried to de-escalate, hands out, voice calm as a Montana lake. "Ma'am, let's just talk this out. No need for..." But she cut me off, eyes wild with the thrill of victimhood. "He's armed. I see a rifle in the window." There was no rifle. It was a fishing rod leaning against the sill. Cops arrived in under 10 minutes, small-town perks. And there we were, me explaining the chimes, her fabricating a saga of rural terrorism. Officer Ramirez, bless his buzz-cut heart, took one look at my deed and the satellite photo she'd printed from her iPad, proving my land was a buffer zone, untouchable by her petty fiefdom, and sided with me. "Ms. Whitaker, this seems like a civil matter. No crime here. Her face turned the color of overripe tomatoes, veins bulging in her neck like she'd mainlined rage. "This is harassment. I'll sue. I'll have your badge." Ramirez just sighed, the way you do with that aunt who shows up to Thanksgiving with a PowerPoint on essential oils. He suggested mediation, but Karen was already storming back to her Tesla, tires spitting gravel like confetti at a bad divorce. As she peeled out, she yelled over her shoulder, "You'll regret this, cowboy." Whispering Pines doesn't forget. I watched her go, heart pounding not from fear, but from a slow-burning fury I'd thought I'd left in the boardroom. Little did she know, I had receipts that could bury her deeper than a winter snowdrift. That night, as the stars wheeled overhead like God's own disco ball, I poured a bourbon, Maker's Mark neat, and scrolled through the HOA's public filings on my laptop. Whispering Pines wasn't just a cul-de-sac kingdom. It was a web of mini mansions owned by tech bros, finance sharks, and remote work influencers, all policed by Karen's iron fist. She wasn't just president. She was the architect, having bootstrapped the association from a loose neighborhood watch into a $2 million slush fund for aesthetic enhancements that mostly lined her contractor husband's pockets. Fines, fees, forced upgrades, it was a racket, and her emails, leaked in a petty feud with a former VP, painted her as the queen bee stinging anyone who buzzed off script. One widow got dinged $3,000 for unkempt grief landscaping after her husband's passing. A Latino family faced eviction threats over cultural noise from their Quinceañera playlist. And me? Just the latest fly in her ointment. But here's the hook that kept me up till dawn. Karen worked for me. Not directly. Hell, she probably didn't even know my name beyond that ranch hillbilly, but her paycheck cleared through a subsidiary of Quantum Dynamics. Whitaker Consulting, her side hustle in executive wellness coaching, had a fat contract with our HR division, peddling mindfulness apps and stress seminars to our overworked coders. And her husband? Tech VP at a firm we'd acquired last year. One email chain, buried in due diligence files, showed her lobbying for diversity waivers to keep his incompetent ass employed. I could pull the thread, watch the sweater unravel. Revenge? Not too small. Justice, served cold with a side of schadenfreude. By sunrise, I drafted a memo to my inner circle, discreet, deniable, and set the wheels in motion. Whispering Pines was about to get a reality check, and Karen, she'd learned that some loopholes cut both ways. The next morning brought blue skies and a text from Ramirez. "All clear, Alex. Stay safe out there." I replied with a thumbs up, then saddled up Daisy, my quarter horse, for a ride along the creek. The rhythm of hooves on earth cleared my head, but the what-ifs gnawed. What if she'd pushed harder? What if Buddy had really spooked her, and some trigger-happy deputy rolled up hot? Montana's got its freedoms, but 911 calls can turn ugly fast, especially when class and color get tangled. Karen's profile pic on the HOA site screamed East Coast transplant, Smith College vibes, with a LinkedIn bio touting disruptive leadership in suburban sustainability. Disruptive, all right. She'd moved here post-divorce from some Wall Street drone, trading Manhattan for McMansions, but kept the entitlement like a designer handbag. Me? Born in Billings, bootstrapped through State UN scholarships and side gigs coding for oil rigs. We'd both chased the American dream, but hers was paved with complaints, mine with code. By noon, the first ripple hit. My assistant, Lena, sharp as a tack, loyal as they come, pinged me from the city. "Boss, you see this? Whitaker's firm just got flagged for an audit." I smiled into my coffee. The memo had been surgical. Review all vendor contracts for compliance anomalies. Nothing pointed at the ranch dust up. It was all above board, triggered by routine quarterly sweeps. But Lena knew. Subtle, she added with a winky emoji. I typed back, just good governance. Inside, though, the thrill buzzed like those chimes. This wasn't about one call. It was about the system she'd weaponized, the little tyrannies that make good folks fold. And as I hung my laundry on the line, yes, I do my own, no maid service out here, the Tesla hummed back up my drive. Karen, round two, clipboard in hand, flanked by two board members in khakis and polos, looking like they'd rather be golfing. "Mr. Hargrove," she began, Voice honeyed now. We've reconsidered. Perhaps a compromise. The men nodded, sheepish. I leaned on the porch rail, arms crossed. Compromise? Like not calling the cops on a neighbor's dog. Her smile cracked just a hair. That was a misunderstanding. Heat of the moment. One poor guy, Dave, real estate agent with a comb-over, mumbled about community harmony. I let them squirm, then dropped the bomb. Tell you what. Invite me to the next meeting. I'll bring some thoughts on your bylaws. Karen's eyes narrowed, but she agreed, probably figuring she could outvote me. Fools. As they left, I fired off another email. Accelerate the audit. Phase 1 complete. The Whispering Pines HOA meeting was held in the community center, a sterile box of beige walls and folding chairs that smelled like stale coffee and desperation. I'd shown up in my Sunday best. Pressed Wranglers, a crisp Oxford shirt, and boots polished to a shine. No tie. This wasn't Palo Alto. Karen had reserved the head table for the board, her nameplate gleaming under fluorescent lights like a crown. About 30 residents milled about. Yoga moms with tumblers, dads in golf shirts, a smattering of retirees clutching agendas. Whispers rippled as I took a seat in the back. Who's the cowboy? New blood. Karen spotted me, her Botox mask twitching into a forced grin. Alex, glad you could make it. We're voting on the gazebo renovation tonight. Your input on rustic elements would be valuable. I nodded, playing the rube, while inside the gears turned. Lena had overnight me the full dossier. Karen's consulting gig pulled $150,000 annually from Quantum, but invoices showed padded hours and go sessions. Her hubby's firm? We bought it to fold into our cloud division, but his performance reviews read like a pink slip waiting to happen. Missed deadlines, toxic team vibes. And the HOA tax filings revealed administrative fees funneled to a shell LLC in her name. Petty? Sure. But stacked up, it was a pattern of grift, the kind that gets you blackballed from polite society. The meeting kicked off with minutes approval, Karen droning on about fiscal responsibility, while her eyes darted to me like I was a loose cannon. Public comments came after the budget vote. Gazebo passed 18-12, with grumbles about the $20,000 price tag. Then it was my turn. I stood, clearing my throat, and the room hushed. Folks, name's Alex Hargrove. Live up on the ridge. Appreciate the invite. Karen beamed, thinking she'd won me over with charm. I've been reading your covenants. I continued, voice steady as a judge's gavel. Impressive work. But page 47, Article 12. No member shall use association resources for personal gain. That's tight language. Murmurs. I pulled out my tablet, projecting the scan page onto the screen. Lena's tech magic. See here? Last year's landscape consultant fee, $8, $500 to Green Vista, LLC. Guess who owns Green Vista? A beat. Karen Whitaker. Gasps. Her face drained of color, mouth opening like a landed trout. That's a family business. My husband. Conflict of interest. I cut in, smooth as bourbon. And the $12,000 for event planning at the summer luau? Billed to Whitaker Events. Same LLC. The room erupted, Dave the comb-over guy slamming his fist. I knew it. That luau was catered from a food truck. A yoga mom shrieked. My dues paid for your Botox parties? Karen banged the gavel, voice shrill. This is libel. Slander. I'm calling the meeting adjourned. But the chairwoman, a silver-haired battle axe named Marge, overruled her. Sit down, Karen. We're hearing this out. I laid it all bare, not just the finances, but the targeted harassment logs I'd FOIA'd from county records. The widow's fines, the family's noise complaints, documented, damning. By the end, residents were on their feet, some cheering, others filming on phones. Karen bolted mid-rant, sobbing about witch hunts, her bored allies melting away like snow in July. Outside, under the sodium lamps, she cornered me by my truck. You think you're hot shit, don't you? Stirring up the plebs. Rain started, fat drops pattering on the hood. I met her gaze calm. Just transparency, Karen. You built this on sand. She laughed, bitter. Transparency? You're the outsider, the hillbilly with delusions. I'll bury you in court. HOA attorneys on retainer. I almost pitted her then, the fragility behind the fury. Almost. Good luck with that, I said, tipping my hat. Check your email tomorrow. As I drove home, wipers slapping rhythm, my phone buzzed. Quantum's legal had frozen her contract pending investigation. Hubby's too. Performance improvement plan, effective immediately. The revenge tasted sweet but hollow. It was the principle, not the pound of flesh. Word spread like wildfire through the pines. By morning, my inbox overflowed. Thank yous from the widow, bless you, son. Invites to barbecues from the Latino family. Comfort tamales. Even Marge called, voice gravelly. Your board material, Hargrove. We need men like you. I declined politely. Ranches don't run themselves. But Karen? She went nuclear. A blistering Facebook post, betrayed by a neighbor terrorist. Racked up 200 shares before mods yanked it. Then the calls, to my landline, unlisted, but she dug it up. Voicemails laced with venom. You'll pay for this, you redneck fraud. I saved them, forwarded to Lena for the file. Her husband, sensing the tide, filed for separation that week. Public record splashed across the Bozeman Daily Chronicle Society page. Whitaker Union crumbles amid scandal. The headline read, with a photo of her leaving the courthouse, sunglasses hiding puffy eyes. I kept my head down, focusing on the ranch, mending a hay baler, trailering Daisy to the vet for her annual. But the backlash built. Anonymous letters in my mailbox. Go back to your trailer park. And tires slashed one dawn. The deputy's report noting HOA sticker residue on a knife left behind. Ramirez pulled me aside at the diner. She's unhinged, Alex. Got half the board gunning for her ouster, but she's fighting dirty. I nodded, sipping black coffee. Appreciate the heads up. Deep down, though, doubt crept in. Was I the hero, or just another billionaire playing God? Quantum's board meeting loomed, virtual, from my study, and I'd have to greenlight her termination. Mercy? Or momentum? The audit report landed Friday, a 50-page PDF of red flags. I read it by firelight, Buddy snoring at my feet. Embezzlement, not just padding. Diverted funds to her personal Amex for supplies like spa weekends in Jackson Hole. Her coaching sessions, half were no-shows, billed at premium. Hubby's reviews confirmed. Bullying, falsified metrics. I hit forward to HR with a single note. Proceed. Sleep came fitful, dreams of chimes tolling like funeral bells. Saturday brought Confrontation 2.0. A courier delivered a summons, defamation suit, $500K demanded. Karen's lawyer, some bottom feeder from Billings with a Yellow Pages ad. I laughed, CC&G it to Quantum's counsel. But then the real gut punch, a call from her. Not rage this time, broken, voice cracking over the line. Alex, it's Karen. Please, just hear me out. I paused, hand on the receiver. The board's voting me out Monday. My husband's gone, taking the kids to his sister's in Seattle. I didn't mean for her to go this far. Silence stretched, rain tapping the window again. What do you want? I asked, softer than intended. A meeting. Off record. The ranch. Let me explain. Against my better judgment, or maybe because mercy's a muscle you lose if you don't flex it. I agreed. Sunday at noon. She arrived early, Tesla mud-splattered, no makeup, hair limp. Looked 10 years older, carrying a manila folder like a white flag. We sat on the porch, iced tea steaming in the chill. I was wrong, she started, eyes on the chimes. Power. It creeps up. Started with good intentions. Keep the riffraff out, preserve values. Then the fees added up, and suddenly it's your world. I listened, nodding. The folder held confessions, ledgers, apologies drafted to victims. Take it to Marge, I said. Rebuild. Hope flickered in her, gratitude even. But as she left, hugging the folder, I felt the twist. Quantum's pink slip emailed at 11:45 a.m. She read it en route, probably, tears blurring the road. Bitter? Yeah, but necessary. The fallout from Karen's ouster vote was a spectacle worthy of a Netflix docuseries. Think the Val meets Big Little Lies, but with more potlucks and fewer cult vibes. Monday night, the community center overflowed, folding chairs spilling into the hall, folks clutching pitchforks in the form of printed emails and pitch decks. Marge wielded the gavel like Excalibur, calling order amid chants of resign. Resign! Karen stood at the podium, a ghost in pearls, her prepared statement trembling in her hands. I take full responsibility, she began, voice amplified to echo off the sheetrock. My actions undermined the trust we built. Effective immediately, I stepped down. No fight left, just defeat, shoulders slumped as the board accepted, unanimous. Applause thundered, not jubilant but cathartic like lancing a boil. Whispers followed her out. Good riddance. About time. I watched from the shadows. Anonymous again, the rancher who toppled the tyrant without drawing blood. But victory's aftertaste is ash. Tuesday, the Chronicle ran a spread. HOA shakeup, president ousted in embezzlement probe. No names on the financials. My doing a quiet favor to Marge. But Karen's photo dominated, mid-snarl from some gala. Comments section lit up, entitled which finally gets hers. Karma's a bitch, Karen. Her LinkedIn went dark. Consulting site 404-foot-D. Quantum's termination was boilerplate, at-will separation, but word in industry circles spread. Blackballed, unhirable. Her husband's divorce filing cited irreconcilable fiduciary differences. Code for your scams sank us. The kids, teens from the custody docs Lena pulled, stuck with dad, citing toxic environment. I pictured her alone in that McMansion, echoing with silence, scrolling Zillow for downsizes. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold, but mine came with indigestion. But he sensed it, nosing my hand during evening walks, those big brown eyes asking what no dog can voice. The ranch felt heavier, the wind chimes mocking now. Triumph's tune turned dirge. Calls poured in, podcast invites, rancher's revenge. Taming the Karen, lawyer offers, pro bono for the expose. I ghosted them all, holding up with seed catalogs and a new fly rod. But Karen wouldn't fade. Wednesday, a package arrived. No return address. Bubble wrap yielding a smashed porcelain figurine. A little shepherdess, her head lolled back in eternal surprise. Note inside, scrawled in Sharpie. You broke more than rules. My gut twisted. Harassment? Or hollow catharsis? Ramirez cruised by that night. Casual. Heard from her lately? I shook my head. Keep an eye out, he said, tapping his cruiser door. The real storm hit Thursday. Not weather, but viral. Someone leaked the meeting video to TikTok. Karen's resignation, raw and unraveling, captioned, when the HOA Hitler meets her maker faced with tears of joy, Karen downfall justice served. It exploded. 5 million views by dinner. Duets from influencers reenacting her gavel bangs. Memes of her snarl photoshopped onto Thanos. Twitter, or X, whatever, piled on. Cancel Karen trending in Montana. National feeds mocking suburban sovereignty. I scrolled in horror, recognizing my projected slide in the background blur. Anonymity shattered. Replies tagged, ranch guy. Doxers circling like vultures. Alex Hargrove? That quantum shadow puppeteer. One thread dissected my bio. Billionaire plays cowboy. Exposes grifter. But who's the real tyrant? Controversy brewed. The backlash flipping script. Feminists cried, piling on a woman in crisis. Conservatives hailed manly accountability. I muted notifications, poured a double, and called Lena at midnight. Damage control? She asked, voice steady. Or lean in? Lean in one. Friday, I posted once, from a burner account, a simple statement, truth over tyranny. No heroes here, just neighbors healing. It humanized, went semi-viral, but the outrage machine churned on. Karen's counter-move was desperate, delicious in its delusion. Saturday morning, a blog post on Medium. The rancher's ruin. How one man's vendetta destroyed a community leader. Ghost-written polish, but her venom seeped through. Me painted as corporate overlord, puppeteering from afar, her the martyr slain by toxic masculinity in flannel. She alleged bias, sexism, even hinted at an affair. Laughable. I'd sooner date a cactus. Shares from her old Smith sorority, pity parties in comment sections. Poor Karen, railroaded by the good old boy network. The HOA board fired back, a terse press release affirming the vote, but the divide deepened. Neighbors split, half defended her reform arc, half branded her con artist. Drive-by honks at her house turned to eggings. Mine got care packages of jerky and notes. Hang tough, Alex. I rode it out on Daisy's back, galloping the ridge till lungs burned, clarity cutting through the chaos. This wasn't just about chimes anymore. It was America distilled, entitlement versus endurance, the little guys ground under heels of the self-appointed elite. Karen embodied it. The transplant who imported her coastal superiority, imposing it on folks who'd earned their patch through sweat, not spreadsheets. But dismantling her? It unearthed my own skeletons. Quantum wasn't spotless. We'd crushed startups, automated jobs, widened the gulf. Was I any better, wielding power from a porch swing? Sunday brought détente, or so I thought. Her Tesla in my drive again, engine idling like a getaway plan. She emerged, trench coat over jeans, folder from last week tucked underarm. Truce. No tears this time, defiance, chin up. The video, it's everywhere. My life gone, but I fixed it. Full restitution to the HOA confessions notarized. Even reached out to the widow. She thrust the folder. Inside, checks, letters, a therapist's note on narcissistic recovery. I flipped pages, impressed despite myself. Why tell me? She shrugged. Rain starting again. Persistent Montana drizzle. You started this. Figured you deserve the end credits. A beat, then what now? Her laugh was wry. First real one I'd heard. Therapy. Downsize. Maybe volunteer. Actual help. Not hustles. Vulnerability hung there, raw as a fresh brand. I nodded. Good start. As she turned to leave, I added, the post? Pull it. Let the video die. She paused, nodded back. For a moment, under the gray sky, we were just two flawed Americans, bridges half burned but not ash. Monday's board meeting, observer seat, no podium, sealed it. Marge announced reforms. Term limits, audits, a resident bill of rights. Karen's name evoked nods, not boos. Her restitution check framed on the wall like a trophy. My phone buzzed mid-session. Quantum all clear, her file sealed as resolved. Hubby's PIP extended. Second chance, my quiet mercy. Driving home, wipers on intermittent, I felt the weight lift. Not triumph, but equilibrium. The chimes sang welcome, Buddy bounding to greet. Dinner was steak, rare, with a view of peaks turning gold. Life, unscripted, rolled on. Months blurred into the easy cadence of ranch rhythm. Spring calving season, then summer's long light yielding to fall's fiery aspens. Whispering pines healed scarred but stronger. New board, transparent budgets, even a community garden on what used to be Karen's sacred lawn. I dipped in occasionally, fence-mending bees, a 4th of July potluck where the widow pressed empanadas into my hands, eyes misty. You gave us our home back. Folks call me the quiet guardian, half joking, but it stuck, a badge I wore lighter than a Stetson. Quantum hummed from afar. I chaired virtually, vetoing mergers that smelled of monopoly, greenlighting grants for rural broadband. Balance, hard won. Karen? She vanished at first. House listed, sold to a young couple with twins in a minivan. No HOA grudges. Rumors trickled. Temp gig at a Missoula nonprofit, teaching conflict resolution workshops, irony thick as fog. Her ex-husband's firm folded into ours seamlessly. He kept his job, head down, sending a curt LinkedIn thank you that I ignored. The TikTok tempest faded, memes recycled into oblivion, leaving only faint digital scars. I thought we both moved on. Chapters closed like a well-thumbed novel. Then, winter solstice, short days, wood smoke curling from my chimney like prayers. A knock at dusk, silhouette backlit by cruiser reds. Ramirez, steaming mug in hand. Mind if I warm up? We settled by the fire, Buddy sprawled between us. It's her, he said, no preamble. Karen. Spotted her in town last week, rough shape. Talking wild about the rancher who stole her soul. My gut clenched. Stalking. He shook his head. Not more. Unraveling. Lost the temp job. mouth off to a donor about hypocrite do-gooders. Eviction notice on her apartment. And get this, filed a complaint with the state bar against your lawyer claiming conspiracy. I laugh bitter. Let her. It's dismissed fodder. But Ramirez's eyes were serious. She's talking lawsuit again, against the HOAU Quantum. Pro-SE, of course. Delusional, but persistent. Sleep evaded that night. Flames dancing shadows on the beams. Was this the bitter end? Not firing, not resignation, but a slow poison of resentment, eroding her from within. I pictured her in some drafty walk-up, circling yellow pads with grievances, the American dream curdled to nightmare. Pity Ward with wariness. I'd seen boardroom psychos crack, turning scalpels on themselves. Morning brought action, a call to Marge, then Lena. Monitor, but distant. No engagement. Lena's reply. Compassion clause activated. By noon, a wellness check routed through channels. Anonymous tip to social services, framing it as concerned acquaintance. Subtle, sufficient. Spring thawed the impasse. An envelope arrived, postmarked Billings. No return, but her script unmistakable. Inside a single page, I was wrong about everything. The power of the calls, it was fear dressed as control. You didn't break me. I was fractured long before the chimes. Forgive? Not asking. Just. No, I'm trying. A P.S. Heard Daisy's foal arrive. Congrats. Name her Justice. I folded it away. Not in a drawer, but a box with a smashed figurine. Artifacts of absolution. The real closure came unbidden. Memorial Day weekend. Town fair in Bozeman. Booths of huckleberry pies, rodeo demos, kids shrieking on the zipper. I wandered with Buddy leashed, cotton candy staining fingers. When voices cut through the midway din, Alex. Holy shit, the legend. It was the yoga mom, Sarah now post-divorce, and her crew, beers in hand. Dude, you saved our sanity. Hugs, backslaps, invites to the lake. Then, peripheral, Karen, at a craft stall, haggling over quilt squares. Thinner, grayer at the temples, but smiling, genuine, with a volunteer badge pinned to her vest. Literacy buddies. Our eyes met across the hay-strewn lane. Time stretched, then she nodded, small, sufficient. No words, just acknowledgement. She turned back to her bargaining, laughter bubbling as the vendor tossed in a bonus potholder. I walked away lighter, the fair's chaos a balm. That night, porch sitting with bourbon and stars, I replayed it all. The 911 flash, the meeting melee, the viral venom, her handwritten grace. No heroes, no villains, just humans fumbling the script, learning lines late. Quantum's next board call? I pushed for ethics training, mandatory for vendors like her old firm. The ranch? Expanded the wildflowers, added a community trailhead, Hargrove Loop, etched on a cedar sign. Buddy chased fireflies till dark, and I let the chimes play their song unchecked. Years on, it's folklore now. The tale of the rancher and the reigning Karen, swapped over fences and firewalls. Folks ask if I'd do it again. I say, only if the chimes demand it. But truth? Mercy tempers justice, or it's just vengeance in boots. Karen? Last I heard, she's regional director at that nonprofit, mentoring at-risk moms on boundaries, not imposing them. Fitting in, bittersweet as huckleberry pie. And me? Still here, under the big sky, where loopholes lead to liberation, and even Karens can rewrite their arcs. The wind shifts, bells toll soft. Lesson learned, story closed. Or is it? Life's no three-act play. It's a ranch, vast and unfolding, one dawn at a time.